Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be looking at the Kuryakyn Momentum Outrider saddlebags. Now, I will put a little disclaimer on this, and that is I won't be going over all the little compartments and little things that they have with them, just because I did a video on that about a month ago or so. If you'd like to go see that video, check out my channel, and what the hell, watch all my videos, subscribe, would help me out a lot, and it doesn't cost anything. But anyway, on to the video. So about a month ago, I ended up purchasing some Kuryakyn saddlebags, specifically for my 2021 Fatboy, so that's what this video will be on. Now, I finally got to go out of town and on the highway this last weekend, so I was out of town for a couple days, and I got to see how these saddlebags worked. So the first thing I will say is that the bastards at the Weather Network lied to me, and they said there was no rain in the forecast for last weekend. Of course, I got about a half an hour out of town and I got poured on. So what I will say is that these saddlebags do come with some Kuryakyn branded rain bags you could throw over top of them. Now, of course, I didn't know I was going to get rained on, so I didn't have them on there, and I got poured on and I got soaked, and so did the bags. But what I will say is that those bags, everything inside stayed dry even though they got soaked. So that's a good point. Now, before we get much further, I think the first thing we really need to do is we need to take a look at how these bags look on the fabulous Fatboy. So here's what the bike looks like with the bags on it. Looks pretty good in my opinion. Get a view from the back. They look not too bad. Now, the first thing I want to address about these bags is that I got some comments on the first video I did about them, and they were that I had the bags over top of the back passenger seat. And some people had sent comments in saying they need to be under the seat, they go underneath the seat, or I put them underneath the seat. And that's fine, because they go either or. I believe on Kuryakyn's site, they actually show them over top of the back passenger seat. And I'll just explain why I put them on top rather than under the seat. The first reason is that I'm a little bit maybe OCD about the paint. Even though the underside of those bags is supposed to have it's kind of a rubbery, non-scratch surface, I'm still a little worried about putting it directly on the back fender's paint. So that's why I throw them over the top. I don't have to worry about that. But there is a second reason, and that is this. So here's the reason I have those bags up on the top of that back passenger seat. And it is because of the pipes. And you can see that they don't sit too close. Now, this bottom is supposed to have a heat-resistant bottom, but I'm not going to bother trying to test that out. So the higher away from the pipes I have them, the better. Now, in doing this video, I looked up some of the reviews on these bags that other people had done. So I'm going to talk about a few of the major complaints people have had with these bags and whether I had any issue with them on the road myself. And overall, the bags worked fine. I really didn't have many major issues. They stayed secure, they didn't flap around. They were weighted down a bit, obviously. I had a couple of days of clothes in there, toiletries, a bottle of Jack Daniels, but it all stayed very secure. I had no major issues with them overall, but I will address some that other people have had. And the first one is the zippers that hold the bags on, and let's take a look at those.
Now, these right here are the zippers that they were complaining about. They attach your bag to here. So you have one going this way, you have one going this way. I actually thought there would be an issue with this one that faces the wind, but actually the only issue I had was with this back one. So it was a little bit of an issue. During the ride, it ended up unzipping probably about a good inch and a half or so, which really is not good, but at the same time, it wasn't a huge issue for me. In my opinion, if you're really worried about this, you can just take some thread or something, even some fishing line, put a little stitch in there, and it won't come unzipped. Now, the reason I think they come unzipped, to be honest, is because when you tighten these bags down, you're putting pressure on that zipper, and tension on that might start pulling it apart. Like I say, it wasn't a huge issue for me, and it should be an easy fix, but that's up to you.
Now, another major gripe about these bags is that the instructions for installing them are very poor. The reason for that is that these are meant to be universal throw-over bags. They're meant to fit many different models and years. So there's not going to be all the same attachment points on every bike. And a lot of people have commented that, well, they should make better instructions for that. Well, it's hard to do if they're going to be thrown on all kinds of different bikes. But for the Fatboy, I will show you right now exactly how I mounted mine.
So these bags are going to come with 4 straps. You're going to have 2 that are just Velcro, and you're going to have 2 that have clips. Now, all I used was the 2 with clips, and I only put them on the front of the bag. So if you look down here, you have basically little eyelets kind of hidden away. There's in the front and the back. What I did on this side, on the exhaust side, was I went and I looped the strap down around the swing arm down there. If you can see that. I looped it down around there and then back up to here, and I tightened it down. It worked fine. On the other side, it was a little bit easier, as I just looped it around the passenger peg. And then, of course, up to the other eyelet that's right there. Tightened it down, worked fine.
Now, the third issue that I've heard or read people having a problem with is that they have had to relocate their taillights on their bike in order to install these bags. So let's first have a look at least on my bike, the clearance.
All right, so you can see how much space there is behind the taillights and the bag. Not a ton, but probably about a good ½ inch. They're not touching. It wasn't an issue, but it is something to look into, you know, on certain models.
So as you can see on a 2021 Fatboy anyway, as far as the taillights are concerned, there's no issue. There's not a ton of clearance, but there's definitely enough that it won't be a problem. However, I will mention this. If you have a side-mounted license plate, it may be an issue. Now, in Canada, the license plates on the Fatboy, they're sold on the back. In other countries, like possibly in the States, the stock license plate holder will be on the side. And I believe the reason is, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but in Canada, by our manufacturing standards, when they're sold new, the license plate needs to be on the back of the bike. Once you've sold that bike, you can go by whatever your provincial regulations are, but in Canada they're sold on the back, so it's not a big issue. But if you have that side mount, you may need to move it. Now, if you go on Kuryakyn's website, they have the dimensions of the saddlebags on there. You should be able to go on and find the dimensions and then measure them to see if they're going to fit your bike. Otherwise, you're just gambling, and to me, it's buyer beware if you don't do that research and you don't measure them to begin with, and you end up getting them and you have to relocate things. Always check this stuff out before you buy, folks. Otherwise, don't complain. So long story short, in the end, these bags worked just fine for me. I didn't have too many issues. And I'll tell you, if you're looking for just like a simple, good bag that looks all right and it doesn't break the bank, I think those bags cost me a few $100. Those are good to go with. They honestly, once you figure out where you're going to strap them to, it takes about 10 minutes to put them on, and there you go. Take them off, carry them in with you. They were very good value for the dollar, and that's my opinion anyway. So if I had to rate them, I'd say, I don't know, they're probably, I'd say about a 4 out of 5, maybe a 4.5 out of 5. They weren't perfect, but I haven't come across a product that is. So that's going to be the video for today, guys. But with the summer coming up and everybody on the road, I want you all to stay safe out there, because I don't want to lose any subscribers. So anyway, like, share, subscribe if you like the video, and we'll see you again next week.